Well, hey there, everybody. It's me, Esther Barkey. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about using your intuition in combination with, we could say, your logic, research, information in order to manifest your wishes and dreams come true. And right now, I'm focusing on helping you to create greater financial wealth in your life because for me personally, what I have discovered, and I'm a pretty good manifester, is that the sweet spot for manifesting is using your intuition in combination with information, research, logic. Okay? Some people are all about facts. Other people are all about feelings. I am facts plus feelings. I am research and then check in with your intuition and tell you what your intuition says. I would like to speak with you about this today and offer you 5, I guess you could call them tips or areas to look at in order to sharpen this ability of intuition plus research logic. All right. So welcome back to my channel, everybody. My name is Esther Barkey. I am a core belief therapist. I've been doing this particular therapy for over 18 years. And what I do is I help people to discover and explore the limiting beliefs that they hold subconsciously, sometimes consciously, inside of them, often embedded in childhood, and the system that is created around it. Because when we have a belief, there is a system of protection that's created around it. It's a behavior, patternings, memories, symptoms, strategies to deal with the belief when it gets uncomfortable. And so when you're doing core belief work and inner work, it's not just about finding what is that belief, what is that reoccurring thought that keeps coming up over and over again that's sabotaging me from living the life that I desire, but what is the system that is also created around it and clearing it right out at the root so that it is no longer holding you back as you move forward in your life, manifesting the life you want to live and experience. And that is the foundational work I do. I also do private readings for people, personal sessions, group events. And today I want to talk to you about intuition plus research. Okay, so let's get started. And first of all, let's start off with the basics. You know, I like to start off with basics. What is intuition? It's a really good question. Okay, so I wrote down some key words that what intuition means for me. It's a wisdom. It's a deep knowing. It's a soul wisdom. Okay, it is a wisdom that comes to you when you're really plugged into God, or some of you might say plugged into universe, plugged into singularity, plugged into source. Your connection is really strong. Okay, it's that God wisdom from within. It is, intuition is all around us, but it's also within us. Everybody has it. Intuition is not special to one person or another. Everybody has intuition. It's beyond logic. It's beyond research. It's beyond rationality. And I really believe that it's part of our spiritual gifts. It's part of our energy. Okay. And also for me, intuition is individual. So for instance, 2 people could be presented with the same financial opportunity. And they look at the research and they look at the information, and one person says, ooh, okay, my intuition is telling me this is a really good path for me to go on. And the other person will say, my intuition is telling me not to go on that path. So intuition could be different because we're all on our own unique journey. All right. So it's really important to understand your intuition and how it speaks to you. And I'm going to be reiterating that over and over again in this video. Is intuition real, or is it something that's made up, like a term that we've just made up? And for me, it is real, all right. My goodness. When you get an intuitive hit, you know it. Now, studies will say that there are 3 different ways that we get intuitive hits, all right? Many scientists and researchers will say intuition is a right brain, right? It's a right brain thinking. It's the creative, it's the imagination, it's the dream, it's the beyond, right? Others will say, ooh, intuition, it's in our gut. It's that gut instinct, right? The mind-gut connection. There's lots of books written about it. And then other scientists and researchers will say, ooh, intuition is all about the prefrontal cortex. So this is some of the information that's come forward about intuition. I personally say it's a mix of all 3. It's a mix of all 3. Most people start off with gut instinct. So people who don't even really understand intuition or don't get it, or just starting to understand what intuition is, they'll say things like, ooh, I have this gut instinct. My gut is telling me yes, my gut is telling me no. So that's often where we start with intuitive abilities, and then we can build upon that. All right. So again, intuition plus research is the sweet spot for me. Everyone has intuition. It's part of our natural being. We are energy. Energy is information. Intuition is another source of information for us. Okay, so we all have it. Yes, intuition is easier for some than others, but you can learn it. You can train yourself. You can grow it. You can sharpen it. Okay? You just have to practice and experience. When I was very small, I was very intuitive. Like when I reflect back, I was like, Esther, you were intuitive. You understood things from a very small child. But I didn't grow up in a family where we talked about intuition. If, you know, as I recall, yeah, I think there was a little bit about, ooh, it doesn't feel right, or, you know, gut instinct. Maybe there might have been talk. But in general, my family, mom, dad, you know, aunts, uncles, extended family, we didn't use a word like intuition. Oh, my intuition is telling me this. Ooh, did you get an intuitive flash? This was something that I came to learn really on my own in my teenage years. Then I started in my 20s researching it. And then, you know, in my early 30s realized, woo, I'm really intuitive, and started to hone in on it in combination with my receiving of messages. I think it kind of went hand in hand together. All right. So what I learned is I did a lot of trial and error. And so I want to share with you some things that I had to move through in order to sharpen my intuition, and areas for you to look at if you want to increase your intuition as well. All right. So the first thing is know the difference between intuition and wishful thinking. People get tripped up by this all the time. I got tripped up by this all the time. I would sit and say, okay, what does my intuition tell me about this? And I would get a, yes, go for it. Or yes, he's going to call. Or yes, the job is yours. Or, you know, yes, do this. And in hindsight, after I moved through that situation, I was able to say, you know what, that was actually my wishful thinking. So how do you know the difference between a real intuitive hit and wishful thinking? Again, this comes with practice, with experience, with being willing, after you've moved through a situation, to look back objectively and say, okay, did I really get this right? Or did I not get it right? Was it my wishful thinking? Was it really an intuitive hit? And being honest with yourself. Okay, we all learn, we all make mistakes, and we grow from it. Okay, for me, my intuition and wishful thinking have a different energy about them, have a different tone. If I'm actually hearing like, intuition speaks to us in different ways. If you're actually hearing like, yes, go do this, or don't do this. Intuition has a different tone and energy than my wishful thinking. How did I learn that? Again, trial and error, practice, trial and error and practice. Okay, number 2, something I have noticed, especially when I'm working with clients or just people in general, is that there are some people, not everybody, but some people use intuition as an excuse not to do something. Okay, so I'm talking about the person who maybe is being offered some kind of an opportunity and they don't want to do it, but they're not strong enough in their self-power to say, no, thank you, this is not for me, right? Maybe they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they're just not strong enough inside of themselves to say, thanks, but no thanks. So they'll say, well, I prayed about it and I meditated on it. And, my intuition is just telling me no. It's a very disempowered, manipulative almost energy that comes out, a little bit victim-y energy. And I would suggest to you, when you're looking at your intuition, are you using it as an excuse and saying it's your intuition when it's really not? And it's time for you to grow in self-empowerment to be able to say, no, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. All right, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, ask me a question and I'll fill in more information on this. All right. The third piece of this is thinking that you've gotten something wrong when you follow your intuition and it doesn't pan out the way you want it to pan out. And I would say this is a really big misconception amongst a lot of people, because they'll say, but I followed my intuition and it didn't work out. And then they doubt themselves and they don't trust themselves and they don't trust their intuition, and their intuition becomes shaky then. And, maybe they fall into guilt or shame, or I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, I'm not capable. And I am going to suggest to you that your intuition was probably spot on. And you followed that intuition. What got you off track maybe was your expectations of what is going to happen. Sometimes our intuition, sometimes our guidance, the messages that we get lead us down a path that doesn't turn out the way we want, doesn't lead to our expectations, because first we need to learn something and grow before we can move down another path that will lead us to where we want to be going. Okay? So yes, sometimes the message that you get from your higher self, sometimes those intuitive hits, whether it's from the body or your inner being, takes you down a path because there's something there you need to learn. There's something you need to face and release and grow from. Your intuition was spot on. The problem was your expectation. Okay? The expectation got in the way. You had an attachment to a certain outcome. And so it's very important when you're looking back after and you're saying, okay, wait a minute, this didn't pan out the way I wanted. The first thing I want to know is, was it intuition or wishful thinking? Okay. And then the second piece is maybe my intuition wasn't wrong. Maybe it was right. What do I need to learn from this so I can make adjustments and changes and wait for the next intuitive hit to get going in the direction that's going to help me to manifest and create what I want? Okay, so that is another big piece of this. All right. Does intuition override logic ever? For me, it does. Oh my goodness. So even though I keep saying intuition and research is the sweet spot, meaning you want to do something, let's say financial opportunity, you research it and okay, it looks really good on paper, and then you want to turn within and say, okay, the research looks really good. Let me feel into it. Just because something's a good opportunity doesn't mean it's the opportunity for you. Okay? Is this a path that will help me to create what I want to create? And then you wait for those intuitive hits to come in. All right? Does intuition ever override logic? Absolutely, for me, it does. I'm going to give you an example about flying. So if you do the research, flying in an airplane is considered to be one of the most safest modes of transportation. You can even go deeper and research which airlines, which jets have great safety records, and book your flight to wherever you want to go, knowing flying is safe. This airline has a great record, and this jet in particular is fantastic. This is going to be a safe flight for me. And then you get to the airport and your intuition is telling you, don't get on that plane. Okay. Now this has never happened to me. I've flown quite a bit. It has never happened to me. But let's say something like that happened to you. I'm using airplanes as an example. You can use whatever example you want. If I was in that airport, I would want to know, is this really my intuition telling me not to get on the plane, or is it a fear coming up? Maybe I have some unresolved fear about flying from this life, a past life. Maybe there was a report in the news just recently about an air crash, and that's lingering in the field. Maybe I'm picking up on the fear of other passengers in the airport, and it's not even my fear at all. But if I keep focusing on it, it's going to build, and it's going to become my fear. Okay. Is it a part of me that's in fear? Maybe it's a part of me that fears where I'm going. So let's say you're taking that plane to go and visit family that you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you don't get along well with, but you're wanting to make amends. You want to go see them, but there's a part of you that's like, I don't want to go see them. I don't want to face that. I don't want to walk back into that situation. So it's promoting a fear of traveling by an airplane as a strategy to get you not to go on the plane. Okay, so it could be so many different things happening. So that's what I would want to know. Is this really an intuitive hit, or is there a fear coming up? A fear coming up, and that fear could be so many different things. This is why it's so important to do your inner work, so you can address this and clean a lot out and really know yourself and your signals, so that if you ever got to an airport and had a hit like that, don't get onto the plane, you would be able to identify very quickly, am I picking up on other people's fear here, or is this an intuitive hit? Okay, is this a part of me that's holding me back from getting on that flight because of these reasons, or is this an intuitive hit? Okay, and if this sounds like you, these are all things that I can help you with doing individual one-on-one sessions with you. Okay, this is the work that I do. It's very important. All right, so yeah, I guess that's about point number 4. Really learning, is this intuition, or is this a fear? Is it my fear? Is it somebody else's fear? And troubleshooting what may be going on within that is disguised as intuition. Okay, that's the belief work. That's the belief work that comes in. The fifth point is, all right, you have to learn how to trust yourself. Okay, your intuition is you. Again, it's that information that you're receiving from the universe, from source energy, from all that is. It's the information coming from singularity, where like all the energy, all the information it exists. It's beyond, right? It's beyond the research. It's beyond the logic. It's beyond the rationality, okay? And you have to learn to trust yourself and learn to interpret your intuitive signals, the way your intuition speaks to you. Is it through the gut? Is it through feelings? Is it through flashes? Is it through colors? Is it through a flash to a past memory, making a connection? Is there a tone? Is there an essence about it? Okay. And that comes with practice over time, and you can do it. It did take me a long time to really trust the messages that I was getting, to trust my intuitive hits, to learn the difference between wishful thinking and intuition. But I didn't have to wait until I got to complete trust. Along the way, it was building, and I was benefiting from it. And even today, if I get an intuitive hit, like I'm thinking back to last summer, and I had an intuitive hit about something, and I followed that path, and it was a friggin' disaster. And when I looked back and I went, whoa, like what happened here? And I realized there was a part of me that wanted it to be right so much. It overrode my warning bells. And so I had to work with that part of me that wanted this so much and say, you know what, I love. Part of Esther, I love that you want that so much, because I want it too. But what you did, overriding the red signals and the warning bells, look at the mess it got us in. I know you meant well, inner part of Esther, but look where it got us. And I had to bring that part back into harmony with me so that it's not going to do that again, right? And we're going to create what we want, but in a different way. Okay, so I still have to work on this even now. Why am I speaking to you about using intuition and research? Because when you're manifesting, in particular, creating greater financial wealth in your life, there is the research component, whether it's researching a person or a company or an opportunity or a system. You have to learn. Sometimes you have to learn new information, learn new skills. There's a research and a logical part of it, but the intuition piece is very important. And if you spoke to people who you would consider maybe successful in creating financial wealth, I bet you they've got lots of stories to regale you with in how, even though the research looked really good, they said no. Or even though the research looked really bad, they said yes. People hear this a lot when going for a job interview, whether you're the interviewer or the interviewee. And people will say, you know what? You don't have any of the skills or the training that I need, but there's something about your energy. There's something I like about you. I think you're going to be fantastic. You've got the job. See, that's where intuition, gut instinct overrode the information. It could happen vice versa, as well. So it's really important. Coming up on March 5th, I'm going to be starting this new 40-day program, Align and Vibe with Greater Financial Wealth. Because if you're wanting to create greater financial wealth in your life, in a time right now in our world history where we need greater financial wealth. Okay, I come from a country where bank accounts are now being frozen, right? So there's a whole nother aspect. Since I started to promote this program, I have to deal with now regarding greater financial wealth, which makes this more important than ever. And as I'm researching, as I'm making moves, as I'm following up opportunities, as I'm learning new money skills to take my, money quotient from here to there, right? To there. It is important, the foundational work is to do the mindset energetic work first, the aligning, the vibing, the mindset work. And then you're building on a strong and solid foundation. And over this 40-day program, this is what I'm going to help you with, to troubleshoot limiting beliefs, the systems, okay, that are holding you back, to give you rituals and activities that will help you to align and vibrate with greater financial wealth. And they're pretty fun activities. I enjoy them. I incorporate them into my life. So that as you're making these decisions, as you're making moves, as you're retraining yourself, as you're considering different avenues for creating greater financial wealth, you are in the vibration to align. And if you do follow an intuitive hit and it doesn't turn out, that it doesn't throw you off course, you just say, okay, did I have an expectation get in the way here? Did I have a part get in the way here? Let me realign, let me look at this and move along another path. Okay, so you're not giving up. This is the foundational work. It's going to unfold over 40 days, 8 modules. There are packages. I've included 4 packages here. 3 of them include private sessions with me, which I encourage you to take advantage of, so that as one of these limiting beliefs come up, if you're not able to deal with it on your own, you and I can work together and release it and harmonize that part of you back into the whole. I'm going to put a link below with all kinds of information. Take a look at it. There's an early bird pricing that's going to be ending soon. Take advantage of that. We start March the 5th. And yeah, let's do this together. It's going to be really great. And there's also a community group on WhatsApp where you can ask me questions. The only time I will not be on that group to answer your questions is when I'm sleeping. I'm on a different time zone than North America. But I am very active on those group community support boards. And then I also want you to interact as well, because that will help with the vibration. If you have any questions about the program, please pop me an email is the best way to get a hold of me. You could also DM me wherever you are seeing this video. But begin to consider now, moving forward, as you are manifesting, whether it's more money or anything in your life. For me, the sweet spot is research plus information. All right, I hope this information is helpful. Please let me know in the comments section if there's a piece here that really hit home for you and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I need to look at that a little bit more. I'm always interested to hear what your takeaway is. All right, thanks everybody. Ciao for now. Love ya.